All right, so let's look at an effective sentence model that you can use either as an introduction, a conclusion, either at the beginning of your paper, end of your paper, or perhaps even within paragraphs or sections of your paper. And I like this model because it's a good way of like summarizing things, but also bringing them as an introductory tool as well. And the model is pretty simple. Basically, what you're going to do is use a series of repetitions. And we saw this when we looked at the Leonard Pitts article. So here's what it looks like. Because we as a nation were founded on the principle of liberty, because capitalism demands that individuals be offered the opportunity to succeed, because failing to act is not an option, gig workers should be given the status of employees rather than labeled as contract workers. So what I've done is I used a series of these introductory phrases, these because, almost like a Wizard of Oz. And I don't have to just use the word because, and there's no magic to 3. I could use 2 very effectively, but I'm offering the reasons, and this would be part of my, say, values argument, and I could use this at the end of that paragraph or section or at the beginning. I could also look at it just another way. Instead of using the because, I could use an if. If we want to see more businesses fail, if we want to see more workers struggle, if we want to watch a once great economy fall to pieces, we should continue to do nothing about how gig workers are classified. Okay? So this is almost like a negative call to action. So you want these things, then absolutely go ahead and do nothing about it. Right? And then I can also use another of these adverbial introductory phrases with the word when. So because, if, when make great ways of doing this. When a gig worker can't pay her bills, when a gig worker can afford to feed his children, when a gig worker can't get health care to take care of his cancer, we know that something has gone terribly wrong for over 10 million workers in the U.S. economy. So here I've used a statistic as well. I've used this to introduce it, and then I've gotten like a big POW statement here at the end. Now, I can reverse the order of this and put those statements, those becauses, those ifs, and those whens at the end of the sentence if I prefer. All right, and that would look something like this if I were taking this last sentence and rewriting it. I'm going to reverse the order, change a little bit of the wording to make it fit. Something has gone terribly wrong for over 10 million workers in the U.S. economy. When a gig worker can't pay her bills, when a gig worker can't afford to feed his children, when a gig worker can't get health care to take care of his cancer, we have a problem. So I've used that short sentence at the end as a punctuation mark for this opening. And you can try it both ways. You can begin paragraphs this way, end paragraphs this way. I would think of them more as like sections rather than paragraphs. Now, one thing I want to pay attention to is the point of view, whether we should use like a third person where you, the writer, are stepping outside of the issue. You want to sound neutral about it. So you adopt this, it's kind of like they and them. But when you do that, you run the risk of not feeling a part of the issue. You look more like an outsider. So a lot of these writers tend to like to use the first person, the we, as opposed to like the you, the second person. Using you is not a great thing in these papers because it creates a distance between you, the writer, and the audience. It makes it sound like you're superior to them, and that's something that writers, they really want that strong ethos. They want the readers on their side, so they want to look like they're a part of the problem, part of the solution. They are affected by it just as much as everybody else. All right, so those are good tools you can use for these sentences. You might try them out, see if you like them. I wouldn't overdo it, but again, certainly if you pick your spots, they can be highly effective, both introductions and conclusions.